There is a guy in here that I genuinely believe could be the greatest player of his generation. That is not hyperbole, I promise you.
Don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. I won't wait for you, 'cause you keep telling lies. I keep going high, she keeps going low. At the end of the day, she's gone. But you don't wait for me, 'cause I keep breathing fire. And you keep telling lies.
Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Outcasts to Icons. Of course, if you've been enjoying the series, drop a like, that'd be fantastic. It's the start of season 17. That's a lot of seasons. Now, I just wanted to apologise for the fact that we had to take an extra day over the transfer window. Obviously, I warned you about it, but I believe that it made a hell of a difference because I've got some scrumdiddlyumptious stuff coming up in this video. Believe me, we have being able to take that little bit of extra time, and there's a couple of players that I am extremely excited about. So, there are only a few weeks left in the transfer window. We've got all our transfers out the way, hopefully, for Sassuolo, but your club will no doubt be doing some more, and the best way to stay on top of all of that stuff is, of course, the OneFootball app. I've been constantly eyeing my phone, waiting to see any updates about the Muniz transfer to Fulham. In addition to that, you'll of course be able to get live news updates for anything across any of the leagues that you choose to follow, as well as just general football news too, for other transfers, not to mention live scores, statistics, all the good stuff that you could possibly want, along with a little bit of fan voting to go with it. So as always, a massive thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this video, and you can download the app for free with the link in the top line of the description. Also, I just wanted to thank new patron Ammon Stenlin. Thank you so much for that, and thank you to everybody over there as well. You guys really do keep this channel alive, and thank you so much. So, we came into this summer, there is a reason I was showing Jan Bruno, I'll explain in a second, but we came into this summer with a big budget, and me not really sure where I wanted to spend it, because I actually quite like a lot of our squad. Except for that left-hand side, I felt there was definitely improvements that could be made there, both with personnel and with tactical stuff. I've tried to go for the personnel for this summer. If we're still having problems, then it will go back to the tactical stuff, you know? And I'll be honest with you, for a while, I was really struggling to actually sort of find any players that I wanted to bring in and spend money, really. And then towards the end of the window, things just started popping off. And we have got some outrageously, for me, good signings, and also a bargain to just cannot believe this. There is a guy in here that I genuinely believe could be the greatest player of his generation. That is not hyperbole, I promise you. But yes, Jan Bruno. The reason we're starting on the page of Jan Bruno is because we had a slight situation with Jan Bruno where I was in the middle of offering him a new deal because he had a release clause in his original contract because we weren't quite as high up in stature at the time. So I had to give him a release clause that was only 27 million at the time, which admittedly you might look at that and go, well, but the thing is, Newcastle triggered it while I was offering him a new contract. And I was very concerned, even though he said he didn't want to join Newcastle when they put another bid in it early that was lower than that, I was worried that he might end up leaving for £27 million, and it's not really what I wanted to have happen. So we gave him a new deal. It's only bumped his wage up, like, not a great deal either, which is pretty pleasing. He's still one of our higher paid players, but honestly, he's been one of our best players for the whole of last season. I think he was up there, certainly within the top 2 or 3 players in this entire team. And you can see in pre-season, 14 assists in 6 starts. So that's not bad from Jan Bruno, is it really? In addition to that, we've also had some absolute transfer sagas. Would you believe it, eh? Us with the transfer saga. Also, some more minefield crap with the EU, non-EU, Italian registration regulations. That's good. Let's do the outs first, shall we? We've also got Champions League group stage draw, of course, at the end of the episode. Today, we play Roma, again, on the first day of the season, so not an easy one to start with. The only real major out that we kind of expected to have happen was Benjamin Cabrera, whose contract was up, and I just wasn't sure if extending him at that point was the right time for it. So he has now left. He's gone to Metz on a free transfer. There's not a lot we can really say about that other than that he has gone. My original plan was to bring back Joao Gonçalves. However, the club, Monaco let us, but then he turned down the contract from us to come in on loan, even though I said star player, just to try and sweeten the pot a little bit. I wasn't actually going to play him as a star player. Maybe he saw through my lies. But that did leave us with a slight gaping hole in that backup left-back spot, believe me. Now, there is one other out, but I will show you that when we get to one of the transfer sagas because it literally was forced upon me. The first of which, Candido. He's back for another season. You already knew this. I just wanted to show you his beautiful face. He did actually do better towards the end of last season. I saw a little bit more out of him. I do still have plans to potentially move a couple of players on before the end of the window should the right offers come along, but I wanted to get my ducks in a row first before I decided who could actually go in and out, particularly with some of our youngsters maybe going out on loan again. This is the first of those. This is Komi Eklu. Now, you're looking at him and going, okay, not exactly what I was expecting, and I'll tell you for why. I've made a couple of signings this summer that were almost like, if I don't sign this player for the price that they're available at, someone else will, and we will regret it. But the other reason I signed this guy is, now obviously he can play cover on this right-hand side, and he's got that option about him, but I actually quite like this guy as an option for him at Salah in that central midfield. The only thing he's lacking is that tackling, but look at the rest of his attributes. Brilliant mentals, absolutely stupendous physicals, that agility and pace as well. Phenomenal. 6 foot tall as well, great technique, great first touch, good dribbling, passing, vision. He kind of just has a little bit of everything. Literally, the tackling is the only attribute he has that is lower than 9, which is kind of mad for a 21-year-old German. So yeah, Komi Eku's coming on a deal from Basel for £16.5 million. And I realise that's still quite a lot of money. And at the time, I was a little bit worried about doing the deal just on account of I was looking in other areas. But sometimes when a deal like this comes along, you kind of just have to take it because, I mean, he's immediately nearly doubled in value upon joining us. And I think he will find game time for us this season. He's played a little bit in pre-season, has scored 19 times in pre-season, playing various positions across that midfield. But now, onto the biggest signing of the summer. As far as outlay and transfer fee, and this is a big one, but I think it's going to be useful for us, and I think it's our first big sort of marquee signing, if you like. This is Troy Gregory, an Englishman who we've signed from Stade Rennais for £45 million. Now, I realise that is a lot of money. It goes without saying. It's not actually, that's the total value of everything. It's structured slightly differently to that, so I was able to spend money elsewhere. We're actually only paying 20 million of it up front this season. Some of it's in like installments. There's some other things tied to appearances, goals, all that sort of jazz, just to make sure we could get the right amount of money, because I noticed other clubs were circling, and once Hertha came in, I didn't have him fully scouted. I just had an idea of what I could see and I liked it, but then when Hertha came in, I went, shit, we have to try and move on this guy quickly, because I believe he could be the left-sided player that we've been looking for this entire time. 25 years old, obviously he's on £151,000 a week, but it's still, his value is still higher than we paid for him, and that's the main thing. But I mean, for this role here, not going to be crossing as much, you wouldn't have thought. Decent enough passing, vision, technique is solid. Long shots are a little bit low. That's probably the only thing about him that's not spectacular for me. Finishing a 13, composure 13, dribbling 17, lovely physical, 6 foot tall, cuts inside from both wings, likes to knock the ball past people. He feels like the type of player that could be a kind of a little bit like Pierangelo Lanza, but on the left-hand side. And that's kind of what I want right now. But Stade Rennais got him for free from United, so they have made a stonks on this deal. But I felt like this was the only player that I identified in that role that we could afford that had the sort of attributes that I was looking for. There was a couple of other guys, but once you get past him, it was like your 190, 110 million type of player, those types of players. And we just simply couldn't afford those guys. But this guy, I think, is a good option for us. Now, I said there was a saga, and this is the saga with him. So I'm always very careful now because of the registration situations and the regulations regarding non-EU players. I specifically noticed when we went to make the offer that it said Troy Gregory will count as your non-EU player, and I was like, that's perfect, we know that, he's English, get him in there, it's all good, we'll use our one available slot for him. Perfect. He then joins us and the game says, Troy Gregory, although using your non-EU slot, will not be eligible for registration due to quality reasons. I mean, I'm guessing I know now what that means, and that's because he has no international caps and hasn't played an under-21 game for a little while. And I assume that is the reason for that. But it didn't say that when I was trying to sign him. In fact, it specifically said the opposite of that, which was good. So I find out that even he was not eligible for our non-EU slot, which was just fantastic. So then I end up having to move on. It said I could then register him, though, if I then sold an existing non-EU player to abroad. These rules are very weird, man. So unfortunately, I did then have to do that. Slightly cheaper than I would have liked to, but I felt that we had to do it at the time because it was the only way that we could actually register a player we just spent 45 million on. And the player in question was Jorginho. He's gone out to Olympiacos for £2 million. It's not what I would have wanted, but well, he's not a fan of the club he's at right now, is he? Good God. But he took the deal. He left. I think he's on more money there than he was here anyway. So yeah, that's season 6 of the what will the non-EU requirements throw up for us this year. So with those two in the bank, I decided that we'd take a little bit of time over the next couple of signings, but we have made some. The first of which is Alberto Galina, a 17-year-old centre-back who's come in from Fiorentina for £4.5 million, with some additional clauses later on. Now, the main reason I signed him up is because the moment we lost Jorginho, I immediately thought, right, we need another young centre-back that can just give us a bit of cover. He could also cover right-back. in fairness, should we need him to. So I guess that's kind of a nice function. Driven, 6 foot tall, solid-ish player. Really good determination, though, in fairness. Not great aggression on him, though. But he wasn't expected to start. He was just, I'll bring in a player now just to get a body in there. Plus, getting the opportunity to bring in a young Italian as well kind of just fit the bill for me perfectly, because we are going to need that at some point. Next, I turned my attention to plugging the hole that was left at left back with with Cabrera going and Joao Gonçalves not coming back on loan. So in comes Nasser Al-Yazidi in on loan from PSG. Solid player. Now remember, he's not designed to be starting games for us. His main role in this team is just going to be playing back up to Jan Brunner. His crossing isn't as good as Jan Brunner's, but he's got some nice physicals, some nice mentals as well, considering he's only 20. Some decent technicals on as far as his defending. I mean, tackling's not fantastic, but positioning him up, he's okay. He was really the best we could do because I couldn't seem to find any permanent signing. I also, just to cover our bases, brought in Jose Ramon on a loan deal from Barcelona for the season. Again, just to pad out that centre-back backup. Not really expect him to start too many games for us, but just so we've got the option there, should we happen to incur any injuries. Although I think we're going to have more depth in the midfield as well, so Milivojevic might not move around quite as much. But it was after that things really started to get quite interesting. I'd had a very long break from making any signings for about 3 weeks. And I was just doing some scouting, doing some of my old school scouting with my scouting filters, really just looking through players and just sending out some feelers to anybody. And then I started getting some scout reports through. And oh my God. And so the next signing is Ardian Mulai, a Macedonian or North Macedonian defensive-ish midfielder. Now, one of the things we've been looking at in this period was an option that just gave us a bit more backup behind Pavlic. Because as good as I like Juan, but I felt like we could do with someone else in that role potentially, should the opportunity appeal to us. Now, this signing is going to look worse than it is, or potentially, in a minute. But that's because of someone else. But at that point, I was unaware of him. So I had this deal done for Ardian Mulai. It's a bit more than I would have wanted to pay, honestly. 9 million is quite a lot for a player that's come in and doesn't... I think this is the worst signing of the summer, honestly. He's still not a bad player by any means, but I just don't think he's quite as good. I mean, anyone's going to look good compared to the next guy, I promise you. But yeah, I mean, he's in. Hopefully he'll do fine, but I think that he is definitely the one we've overpaid for the most from Hajduk Split. I cannot believe this. This is Przemysław Niewiadomski, a Polish defensive midfielder, but obviously, I mean, he can play centre-back. I'm obviously going to retrain him to play a ball-in midfield role. Left-footed, you'll notice. Look at the mentals on this guy as well. Decent physicals. Some of this stuff's not fantastic, but it'll come with age. 17 tackling. 18 teamwork, work rate, he's so damn good. And you might notice that I've blocked out the part next to his face that shows his more specific attributes. The reason for that is because you probably sat there going, yeah, this guy is sort of, 21, 22, could definitely improve. Good lad coming in here, cost us £5 million from Legia Warszawa, not too bad. Yeah, he's 17 years old. I actually cannot believe that this guy is of the quality that he is, having only literally been in the game for what must be 2 seasons. I think he must have been playing top-flight football in Poland at the age of 15. I don't know if that's even possible, but it feels like he might be. I don't think I've ever seen I mean, I probably have, but I don't think I've seen a player be this good this early. It's outrageous. When he came through my scout report, he was rated at 93, and I thought, okay, that's pretty cool. Maybe he's just got a really cheap release clause. And I looked at him and went, things I said is all I can say, to be honest. So yeah, this is Przemysław Niewiadomski. I hope I'm saying his name right. I'm probably not, but let's give me a break on that one. Oh yeah, and he's left-footed, which means he'll suit that defense, that Pavlic role absolutely perfectly. I believe that he could possibly become one of the greatest footballers in the world if he and he's still 5-star potential if he continues to develop the way. Now, the only thing that worries me a little bit is the potential of the spirited personality maybe holding him back slightly, but he's got good determination, so hopefully that's still a good thing. It's just not one you see very often. Point is, I am extremely excited to welcome Przemysław Niewiadomski to this club, and I think he could be an absolute game changer in the future. Ah, dear. I talked about this guy on stream yesterday, and you'll see what I mean, though. When you see a player come through like that just is already of this kind of quality, you just have to. And given the amount I've just paid, literally days before, for Mulai, I expected they wanted about 30 million for this guy, and the fact that they wanted £5 million is probably the biggest shock of the entire summer for me. You say that, but there's actually one more, as this is Timon Overmars. Now, I know exactly what you're thinking right now. Matt, you don't need a striker. No, I don't, and I still don't, and I didn't at the time. But let me just talk you through my reasoning for this, and I'm sure you'll understand and come to the same conclusion I did. A couple of seasons ago, but bear in mind, this is a guy that was part of the Vitesse title-winning side in the Eredivisie. I'd had my eye on this guy for 2 or 3 years, but once he started getting a couple of Dutch caps and was playing well with Vitesse in Europe and stuff. His value and the amount that they clearly wanted for him was rising through the roof. I actually tried to approach this guy a couple of summers ago when I was a bit unsure about Max Libere's future, and they wanted £85 million for him, and I was just like, right, that's done, no problem, there's no way we're going back in for this guy. But I always keep players like this on my shortlist just because I'm curious to follow their career sometimes and keep them up to date, and just in case something like this comes along. Suddenly, I got a scout report with him now at like 97% recommended, and I'm like, why? I mean, obviously he's very good. And then I noticed something. He had 1 year left on his contract at Vitesse and had clearly told the club that he wasn't going to be staying beyond the end of the season and he was going to leave on a free. And as a result, they'd offered him out for £4.8 million. £4.8 million for this guy. You can understand now why I just kind of went yoink. Also, most notable, look at the wage. He only wanted £47,000 and was happy to take a squad player role. And that's the main reason I was happy to actually do the deal in the end, because it means that he's not going to mind being potentially behind Magnus Nissen a lot of the time this season. He can cover both the striker role and potentially the right-hand side position here with his great finishing and composure. Max Libert may well have just sort of been pushed further down the pecking order at this point, but I think you can understand that when an opportunity comes along to sign a player of this kind of quality for £4.8 million, who's instantly coming and worth nearly £25 million, you sometimes just have to take it. And that is exactly what I've done. And the guy's surname is Overmars. Come on now. And you might think you should play this guy instead of Magnus Nissen. That is definitely not my plan, just because I do think that Nissen's development will take him beyond probably, and I want to give him the chance to do that. But I'm still extremely happy to bring in Overmars, good on either feet. I mean, he's just very good, isn't he? And for that price, it's impossible to say no. Now, he hasn't actually played any games for us in pre-season, because he's only just joined us within the last week, and he has an injury which will, I believe, see him out for another 2-3 weeks. But that's fine. Plenty of time for him to get himself back in there. So there we go. That concludes our current transfers. I realise there's a lot of talk in there, but I feel like we had to discuss a few things as far as some of these transfers that are coming in. I'm very happy with the money we've spent. I think we've, generally speaking, with the exception of probably Mulai, done decent business, and some of it's been exceptional business, to be fair. As today, we go away to Roma. Now, new boys to the league, we have Crotone, we have Pordenone, which is cool, and I think, it's Genoa, of course. Genoa won the league last year at a pretty comfortable bounce, but it's cool to see Pordenone in the top flight. Who will actually start today? Now, obviously, there's a few things that we've been rotating a lot for pre-season, so we've got plenty of options available. Milosevic has a slight knock, unfortunately, coming into the first day of the year, which is far from ideal. Now, I want to do the standard thing with Lancer out there. We want Nissen through the middle. We want Granados in there because I really liked how he's done well. And that's, honestly, the rest of the squad is fine by me for right now anyway. But goddamn, would you look at this bench. Niewiadomski, Quarto, Siggy Jonsson, Ramon Candido, Eklu, Yazidi, Glavash Lombardo, Sejdovic, and Yahiri Manana. The bench is like, honestly, I think our bench would make a good enough team to get top half, possibly even like European edge of qualification at the moment. That's how good we've got a squad right now. I do expect it to get slightly smaller though, because I think there is still room to move some players around, but my lord. Needless to say, I'm very happy. I think there's going to be very little chance of us finding ourselves in an injury crisis this season, or rather, if we do, there'll be very little worries about it. But Vicario will start in goal for us today, the youngster. I am super excited about this. We obviously beat Roma 3-1 on the final day of in the second to final day of last season, coming from behind. So we've got that plan in our back pocket should things go a little bit wrong for us. But I'm just really, really stoked with the way that we've boosted this squad out. I think we've filled in a couple of little areas that I felt needed an improvement, but also just stacked out the squad itself. And the depth is the one thing I think we were just maybe missing a little bit last season. I think we've got that now in spades. And honestly, I'm just extremely excited about Niewiadomski. I still can't get over how good he is, and I expect to see plenty out of him this year. I'm completely content with letting Pavlich rest out a lot more if we need him to. Well, 43 minutes in, and legitimately, there's been so little in this game so far. Now, we would obviously take a draw if we had to, I suppose. That's a terrible effort. Milanese goes short for Baris Aslan. We might be able to nick it off them here, and we have. Magnus Nissen, he's got it. He's got a lot of work to do from this, but we've got 4 players up with him. Can he just go past one player maybe and find that back post for someone like potentially Troy Gregory? Can he find the cross? He's in the box. Can he pull it back? And he finds Pavlich! Blocked and cleared away. Well, didn't do a lot in the game. We're probably the better of the two sides, but only really because of that chance. But it just fell to the wrong man, unfortunately. This is better. Second half has been much more composed from us. We're looking much more in control of this game. Lovely passing play from us as well. Lancer. Can he find the right pass, though? He finds Milivojevic. Will he shoot? Cannons off on Nissen's head. We've basically got free reign of the pitch at the moment. Pavlich. Jan Bruno. Probably one last act before he goes off. Whips across for Granados. Oh, it's a beautiful strike from Andres Granados. The first 10 minutes of this second half has been all Sassuolo. It reminds me so much of the game last time when we were kind of average in the first half, but we've just ticked on over here, and Granados grabs the goal. They just gave us so much space in their own half. I mean, look at the space that Bruno's got here. He can pick this ball out so damn easily. Lovely hit there from Andres Granados. We had a bid of 15 million for him from Atletico in the summer. Didn't want to leave, though. Had a 25 million bid from West Ham for him, by the way. Sigurd Jonsson's in, and Sigurd Jonsson dispatches it, but it's going to be offside. Granados, Aliazidi whips it through, Lanza's header, and it's in off the post, and Pierangelo Lanza makes it 2-0 to Sassuolo. Assist from Nasser Aliazidi. That's 2 assists from that left-back spot in the same game today. Oh, I think we're off for a good one, my friends. Roma 0, Sassuolo 2. Lanza grabs his first goal of the season. Hopefully it'll be the first of many. Just a really good ball in from Aliazidi. Lanza's just got the height on the defense. Oh, it's not even a header, is it? He's won it on the floor. 2-0 to Sassuolo. This is a good result. Well, that's going to do it. It's going to be Roma 0, Sassuolo 2, an away win at a really solid side on the opening day of the season with 2 very good goals. That's exactly what you want to see right there. I think we deserved the win in the end. Just great defensive performance from everybody. Even Troy Gregory had an alright game there too. He's going to take a little while to build into the team, but I'm happy with that. So, strong start from us in 4th. Let's go to the Champions League draw. Okay then, we're back. Some funny news, and you're going to love this. Troy Gregory has now been handed an England call-up. Oh, Troy. Oh, Italy. See, this is why you don't have those silly rules, eh? So now he's probably going to get an England cap. Oh, well, happy for him, I suppose. In addition to that, Niewiadomski has also been handed a Poland call-up at 17. I'm honestly not surprised, to be honest. Lots of our new players have just been handed international call-ups. It's like Sassuolo's the breeding ground for these kind of things. So, yeah, you'll notice Southampton are in the top pot. They won the Europa League last season, so fair play to Southampton. They're a brilliant side at the moment. Since someone's probably going to ask, yes, Ralph Hasenhüttl is still in charge. I don't know. So anyway, we are a pot 3 side again, no doubt. Yes, we are, or with our 61 points, but we're growing there. Like, we're not... we are still quite far off of pot 2 as it goes. Who's pot 3? That's the key thing right now. Hey, look, it's Dinamo Zagreb in there again. I mean, I guess the key group, if you want a real big success, would be the group that has PSV in it, to be honest. Although Southampton, maybe. But they won the Europa League. They're no mugs, are they? So we obviously can't get Lazio. But it will really depend on what other team goes into that group with PSV, for me. Like, A and B look... Oh, my God, imagine Group C. Group D, maybe? Group E is interesting, actually. And Group F could be... Oh, that's kind of ruined it, hasn't it? What about Group G? Oh, that's tough as well. It can't be Group H, so that's them out of the way. Right, come on, please not Group A. Or Group B. Please not Group C. That's the one I don't want. The one I don't want the most. Group D we can get, and I'd rather we didn't. Okay, go on, Group E. Okay. That is an interesting Champions League group. Oh, go on, give us Dinamo Zagreb as the final team. So Basel going there. Zagreb's still on the table, potentially. Oh, we lost them. Damn it. Options, though. Slavia Prague. Right, go on. It's Marseille. Oh, that's not so easy. Good lord. Okay, for the 4th team in the group, Marseille is not an easy... Okay, so this is one of those weird ones where you could probably make the argument that any one of these 4 teams could potentially win this Champions League group. This is one of the weirdest Champions League group I've seen in a while. Sociedad... Sorry, not Sociedad. I just wanted to say this for the alliteration. Sociedad, Southampton, Sassuolo, and Marseille. SSM, rather. That is a... Honestly, that might be one of the weirdest Champions League groups I've ever seen. So I'm looking forward to this season because we get to play Saints, Real Sociedad and Marseille in the Champions League. So, next episode is going to be Marseille and Southampton. Hey, we finally get to start the Champions League at home. Imagine that. So we've got Samp Inter in there as well, but then in between, Torino, Cagliari, Pordenone. There's some winnable matches in there. If we can beat Inter, which is away, so that'll be difficult, there's a crazy good potential start for us to get some nice wins on the cards early, like we did last season, and start to pull away as we've got Marseille and Southampton in the next episode. I'm really looking forward to this season. I don't know. I'm just really excited about it, and I hope you guys are as well. So, if you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have, drop a like. That would be superb. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. That'd be gorgeous too. I stream on Twitch on Tuesday, Thursday, and of course on Saturday. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the beginning of what could be a very, very fun Champions League group. It could be brilliant. It could be disastrous. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for watching. Hold your gun. Capybara. Bye-bye.